And streaming on CrossroadsToday.com. A murder trial in Matagorda County is once again rescheduled. The details on the new date coming up. And the United States approved a $20 billion weapons deal. We'll tell you what country will receive the weapons and when. Plus, Hurricane Ernesto gains strength as its bands hit Puerto Rico, where the storm is expected to go. What category it could become coming up.
And we'll also take a short look at Ernesto as well. But in the meantime, it's going to be plenty hot out there. Heat advisories are going to continue for the rest of this week, guaranteed that. Lots of partly cloudy skies, going to keep us a little bit hot, but really hot next week. We're going to take a look at that coming up.
Football's already challenged a lot of teams this season. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Carolina Astrain on our Thursday morning. It is August. It is the first week of school. And Parker, I hear it is good fishing weather out there.
Yes, Carolina, it is actually fantastic fishing weather for the rest of this week into this weekend and even next week. But yes, it's also the first week of school for most. And I hope y'all's kiddos are staying real safe in that heat, because we got lots of real heat to come our way next week. And we're going to look at that in just a second. Because right now, if you're tuning in with us this morning, you've got a beautiful sunrise coming up in not Port Lavaca. This is Victoria, but it is still plenty warm and humid out there. If you can go see that sunrise right now, sitting at 77 degrees, but dew point 1 degree off, bringing humidity to 96%. So with humidity that high, you might maybe see just a tad bit of dew in your windshield. Not really expecting any fog out there this morning, because looking at your visibility map, that's pretty clear. And why that is because we've got high pressure over us, kind of providing a little bit of mixing in the air with dry air above us. Now back at the surface. But looking at your radar, we do only have just a couple showers out there right now. One up in Matagorda County, another one coming into Calhoun County here in just a second. But got that one shower entering Calhoun County is going to be heading into Port Lavaca probably the next about 10-15 minutes or so. But the other shower, that's going to be heading out of Matagorda County here in the next few minutes, as you can see, heading towards Sweeney and away from Bay City. But coming away today, I've got rain chances only at 10%, and that's going to continue like that tomorrow and all the way through Saturday, with 10% chances of rain. So if you do see rain, you'd have to be very lucky today, because I'm thinking partly cloudy skies are going to ensue today, and that's going to bring us another hot day with heat advisories already in effect for about half of our Crossroads counties. So please be careful out there in the heat. I'm thinking about 97 here in Victoria today. Northwestern counties, y'all can see maybe 98, 99, but heat seas are going to be between 107 to 110. So please be careful in that heat. It's going to continue for the rest of this week. But for now, back to you, Carolina.
Breaking this morning, the health ministry in Gaza says more than 40,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israel-Hamas war. Today's announcement comes during a new effort to broker a ceasefire to the conflict. Now it's in its 11th month. The count does not distinguish between civilians and militants. It reflects the magnitude of Israel's offensive in Gaza, one of the most devastating military campaigns in recent history. The war began October 7th after Hamas-led militants attacked southern Israel. Yet another delay in the Fernando Acosta Jr. murder trial. 25 News Now reporter Amaya Norman joins us live in studio with an update. Amaya.
Yes, Fernando Acosta Jr. was arrested in 2021 and charged for the murder of Amanda Johnson. Acosta turned himself into the Matagorda County Jail before posting a $500,000 bond. His trial date has been pushed back to April 7th of next year. The pre-trial hearing is on December 12th. This is another reschedule after several previous attempts to begin proceeding. The court met earlier this month on August 2nd and 12th. Police found Johnson remains in a burned-out 2018 Ford Explorer. Acosta is also charged with tampering with evidence and abuse of corpse, along with his murder charge. Carolina, back to you.
Thank you, Amaya. Some residents in Indianola are upset over high water bills this month. The water company Undine LLC says 2 months of water consumption was billed in 1 month. We caught up with 2 residents who are very concerned.
I already paid the minimum for June. So my bill should only be the usage, not the minimum plus the usage, which is what it seems like they did. Either that or because of the combined 13,000, it makes it look like I went 10,000 gallons over the maximum usage. So
They send me letters telling me they're shutting my water off when my check has already cleared the bank. They just won't listen to us. You can't do it online, can't do it by phone, and you won't talk to a person. But when it was GBRA, we never had an issue.
The water company Undine LLC says the recent complaints occurred due to 2 months of water consumption being billed in 1 month. Customers can expect a bill credit on their next statement. Undine is located in Houston and acquired the GBRA water treatment plant in Calhoun County 2 years ago. The U.S. approved $20 billion in arms sales to Israel. The deal includes more than 50 F-15 fighter jets, air-to-air missiles, tank ammo, and high-explosive mortars. The sales come at a time of intense concern Israel may become involved in a wider Middle East war. However, the weapons are not expected to get to Israel anytime soon, as the contracts will take years to fulfill. Much of what's being sold is to help Israel increase its military capability in the long term, with the earliest systems being delivered sometime in 2026. Breaking overnight, a new study is raising alarms about the health of American women. The study finds the U.S. now has the lowest life expectancy among 14 high-income countries.
This morning, a wake-up call for women's health. A new study finds women in the U.S. live on average 80 years. That's 5 years fewer than women in other high-income nations.
We have the lowest life expectancy, highest rate of avoidable deaths, highest rate of cardiovascular deaths. And this all really comes from the U.S. being the one country in the analysis that doesn't have a universal health system.
One major factor, researchers say, is racial and ethnic disparities here in the U.S., with Black and Hispanic women more likely to lack health insurance and forgo visits to primary care doctors who can catch medical issues early.
Women in the U.S., particularly Black women, are more likely to say that they have at least one social service need, which includes not having nutritious foods, not being able to pay their bills, all those sorts of things that go beyond healthcare, but we know directly affect health outcomes.
American women are also more likely to have multiple chronic health conditions, poor diet, a lack of exercise, and obesity among the factors. The report also finding women in the U.S. face unique social and economic pressures, including a significant gender pay gap that can weigh on mental health. Meanwhile, a separate study out this morning on aging pinpoints 2 specific ages when our bodies go through physical decline: age 44 and age 60. Researchers say it's around those 2 birthdays when our bodies can see significant changes in metabolism, cardiovascular health, and immune function. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to call for a federal ban on price gouging to help lower grocery prices. On Friday, the Democratic presidential nominee will unveil the details in her first economic policy speech in North Carolina. The proposal is part of Harris's efforts to prevent corporations in the food and grocery industries from hiking up prices. The Harris campaign says Friday's speech is a small part of a larger plan she'll roll out to tackle high cost and inflation. We'll go to Washington for more later. Hurricane Ernesto is gradually strengthening. The National Hurricane Center reports Ernesto has winds of 85 miles per hour. The storm is moving north at 13 miles per hour. Ernesto is expected to continue to strengthen over the next couple of days as it moves toward Bermuda. It could become a major hurricane with winds at or above 111 miles per hour by Friday morning. However, some weakening is expected before Ernesto moves near or over Bermuda on Saturday. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Let's get a look at our time on the clock up here. It is 6:39 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. A rare sight this week in New Jersey as the northern lights and a meteor shower illuminate the sky. And with only 3 months to go until the presidential election, both candidates are highlighting their economic platforms.
And coming up next is the first week of school for most of us. We'll take a look at your school bus forecast, followed by your weather and health forecast. And coming up later on Sunrise, we'll take another look at your marine forecast and everything else that's going on out there in the tropics. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live in Cuero. Look at that guy. Looks like he's hauling moody down that road right now. But another warm and humid morning out there, even up in Cuero, sitting at 77 right now, dew point 1 degree off, bringing humidity to 96%. So not really expecting anything in terms of fog out there. You might maybe see a little bit of dew in your windshield out there this morning. But if you're sitting your kiddos at the door, hope they have a great day at school today. Get it about 77 as they're heading out the door here, probably here in the next half hour or so if you're getting out the door for school. But as they're heading back home from school in the afternoon, about 3 or 4 p.m., it's going to be another hot day today, getting about 97. So I might maybe recommend packing an extra water bottle or something to make sure that those kiddos are hydrated. But the pollen, that's not going to be too bad today. That's going to be moderate for grass and ragweed. Your air quality, that's moderate as well. That's not too bad. But your UV index, that's going to be extreme. So if you have some sensitive skin, maybe make sure to put up some sunscreen for today. But make sure to keep on putting on sunscreen because we got the sun coming back out as we go into this weekend and next week, and hundreds in the forecast. And we're going to look at that later, and also the tropics coming up next. But for now, here's sports.
All right, so a couple days ago we covered Victoria East, but now we're moving over to the West for the Victoria West Warriors. They went 6-7 last season, and they lost to the Titans, Victoria East last season, 42-24. The Warriors are still led by head coach Courtney Boyce, who's in his 8th season as head coach, and he's hoping to make a big run this season. And just like Victoria East, they're going to play a lot of San Antonio teams this season. One of them will be San Antonio McCullum as one of the teams they'll play, and they'll still play East, like I mentioned, on September 6th, but they're going to have to do it with a different quarterback. Got quarterback controversy going on after losing starting quarterback Camden Reaper last season. So Warriors, again, with different divisions and quarterback problems, how are they going to do this season? We'll find out. And their first game will be against Lockhart on August 30th. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Thank you, Max. All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV and watch our newscast live or on your own schedule. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. With just 3 months to go until the presidential election, both candidates are highlighting their platforms on the economy. This as new promising inflation numbers mean the Fed may be lowering interest rates soon.
This morning, both presidential candidates fighting to win over voters on the issue of the economy. Vice President Harris expected to lay out her economic platform in North Carolina tomorrow. ABC News has learned she'll propose banning corporate price gouging on food and groceries. Former President Trump getting ahead of the announcement.
There's no such thing as her going out and doing that. What you want to do is create the incentive so that people can't cheat.
A new report shows inflation cooling at 2.9%, its lowest level in 3 years. Trump in North Carolina Wednesday touted his economic plan, which includes eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits and tips and cutting energy prices. But he spent most of his speech airing grievances against his rivals.
She's crazy. They told her, don't laugh, don't laugh. She's not smart. She's not intelligent.
The Harris campaign responding, accusing Trump of running to slash taxes for rich donors and corporations. Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, now is facing more criticism for his comments on abortion during a Fox interview last night. Vance was asked about suburban women who are concerned about their reproductive rights, suggesting there are bigger issues.
Well, first of all, I don't buy that, Laura. I think most suburban women care about the normal things that most Americans care about, right? They care about inflation. They care about the price of groceries.
Meanwhile, a moment of levity in the Harris campaign preparing for next week's convention, releasing this video of Harris and Governor Tim Walz, who failed to pick up the phone when Harris first called him to ask if he'd be her running mate.
The most important call of my life, it popped up and we didn't recognize the caller ID, and it went to voicemail.
Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We want to know, do you support anti-price gouging legislation? Okay, let's take a look. This has been changing all morning. 96% of you say yes, you do support that legislation, and 4% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Courier Record. School construction is now completed in Myersville just in time for the school year, and first responders and school officials gathered August 7th to discuss and share preparations for any armed attacks on campus. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. It was a rare sight this week as the northern lights and the Perseids meteor shower were visible between 1:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. It was the second biggest meteor shower of the year, and the aurora becomes visible after a coronal mass ejection creates a geomagnetic storm. When these bursts of charged solar particles begin to hit the Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field, they interact with gases in the atmosphere and create the northern lights. The time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, a report on mortgage rates may have some prospective home buyers feeling excited. Okay, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Charles. Happy birthday from your family and friends. Have a blessed day.
Happy birthday, Charles. And also happy birthday to Oscar winner Jennifer Lawrence. The Hunger Games star is turning 34 today. Happy birthday, Jennifer.
Happy birthday, J-Law. I also love her in the X-Men movies.
Oh yeah, definitely those two. Happy birthday, Jennifer. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com, click on the drop-down menu, then click the Home tab, and you'll see Submit Your Birthday Photo.
All right, the time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. I hope you all are starting to slowly get used to that heat because we got lots of heat coming our way next week. We got lots of hundreds in the forecast, but not just yet. Yesterday got up to about 95 degrees, a little bit cooler than what I was thinking because there were a couple showers that were in Victoria County, but it didn't rain in Victoria as denoted by the airport observation of 0 inches yesterday. But that's 1 degree below our average and 10 degrees below our record set in 1938 of 105. But it's going to be another day just like that, hot and humid today with only a 10% chance of showers, making it a great day to get down to the coast or the beach today. Waves are going to be pretty smooth in the bays at 1 foot or less with your winds 5 to 10 knots to the south-southeast, pretty light, and your water still plenty warm near hot tub. Temperatures 92 degrees, 8 degrees off from a regular hot tub. But look at the rest of the tropics. We still have Hurricane Ernesto out there in the Atlantic, currently Category 1 with winds sustained at 85 miles an hour, gust up about 105. I think that actually just downgraded about 5 miles an hour. I think it was 110 just a second ago, but still Category 1 nonetheless, and that will it's actually expected to become the second major hurricane of the season by Friday, and that's going to be impacting Bermuda. Good news is that's not coming towards the American soil. But looking at the rest of the tropics, there are still 3 tropical waves out there. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see them. One right here following very closely behind Ernesto. I don't think anything's going to happen because of destructive interference caused by the winds that are really close by. But there's 2 more, one just exiting the West African coast, another one over the Saharan dust. I'm going to be watching those real closely over the next few weeks because the Climate Protection Center has a greater than 60% chance of development over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to look at that and more later on Sunrise.
A report on mortgage rates coming out today has new insight for prospective home buyers. Analysts say Wednesday consumer price drops mean the Federal Reserve is likely to reduce interest rates at its next meeting. Such cuts often lower mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are different than housing prices, which have trended high in recent years. The CPI report shows they rose 0.4% from June to July and more than 5% over a year. Analysts say such costs can lag behind other inflation improvements. High blood pressure is a common medical condition among adults, but a new study suggests leaving it untreated may raise the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Researchers studied 4 years of data from over 31,000 people from 14 countries, including the U.S. They found those with untreated high blood pressure had a 36% higher risk of Alzheimer's disease compared to those with normal blood pressure. People who were treating their hypertension did not have the same increased risk of Alzheimer's. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca wave. An expert warns of increased Vibrio levels during warm weather, and Calhoun County commissioners nominate Union Carbide for the Texas Enterprise Zone program. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the Consumer Price Index cooled. We learn by how much after the break. Breaking overnight, the health ministry in Gaza says more than 40,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israel-Hamas war. Today's announcement comes during new efforts to broker a ceasefire to the conflict, now in its 11th month. The count does not distinguish between civilians and militants. It reflects the magnitude of Israel's offensive in Gaza, one of the most devastating military campaigns in recent history. The war began October 7th after Hamas-led militants attacked southern Israel. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the Consumer Price Index cooled to 2.9% in July. That's down from 3% in June, and it's the first time the index has dipped beneath 3% since March 2021. Economists point to a lower CPI as a sign that inflation is finally letting up, which could pressure the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates as soon as next month. The Department of Justice says a plea deal struck with Boeing should be accepted. Last month, Boeing finalized an agreement to plead guilty in a single felony charge stemming from 2 crashes of 737 MAX jetliners that resulted in the deaths of 346 people. In a court filing Wednesday, the DOJ said the plea deal is a strong and significant resolution that holds Boeing accountable and serves the public interest. This after some of the victims' relatives asked a federal judge in Texas to reject the settlement. Columbia University will have a new president after the announcement of Minouche Shafiq's resignation on Wednesday. Shafiq, Columbia's president, announced her resignation in a message to the university community. The resignation will be in effect immediately, and it comes after the campus became the center of a protest movement connected to the Israel-Hamas war. Shafiq noted in her statement that protests factored into her decision. She became the first female president of the university just last year. T-Mobile will pay a $60 million settlement over alleged data breach violations. It's the largest ever fine by a committee on foreign investment in the United States. Multiple outlets say T-Mobile failed to disclose and take action against data leaks that occurred after its $26 billion merger with Sprint in 2020, violating a national security agreement for the merger. A spokesperson for T-Mobile said the incident happened because of technical issues the company experienced during its post-merger integration. Texas's overcrowded and understaffed jails send people awaiting trial to other counties and states. Read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And we get to get a final look at our forecast with Parker. Parker, those aren't 101 Dalmatians, those are 101 degrees.
Yep, 101 degrees in terms of temperature, Carolina. Yes, she's laughing over there because we've got some real hot weather coming our way next week, folks. We're going to look at that just a second because right now, if you're tuning in with us this morning, look at this pretty sunrise over Port Lavaca. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. That is actually a shower. We're going to look at that radar just a second because right now it's another morning the station's not working, but y'all are in the low 80s along the coast and still plenty humid. No fog expected because looking at your radar, you can see only a few showers out there right now. And what you were just looking at is actually this shower right here coming up towards Blessing right about now. But other than that, those are the only showers out there right now. I'm not really expecting too much today. Chances are at 10%, but 95 here in Port Lavaca, 97 here in Victoria today, and about 98, I'm thinking, in Cuero. But like Carolina is saying, yes, we got 100 in the forecast next week, 101 as early as Monday.
Thank you, Parker, and thank you for joining us. A reminder to go ahead and pick up your hurricane tracker guide. There is a list of things you need for your supply kit. And thank you for joining us. A wonderful Thursday. We'll see you tonight.